Hello, everyone. Welcome. Thank you all for being here. So we were talking a little bit about the storm that happened in New York and dumped all 10 inches of rain in 24 hours into New York City. Several neighborhoods got flooded, etc. This is the new reality we're living in. And I wanted today to continue the conversation we've been having about how to really to transition with grace during the shift. And I wanted today to talk, and the theme today was about how to find rest. And I'm gonna break it down for you because I want you to understand. I'm gonna go slowly, and I want you to understand what I'm talking about. Because it may seem obvious, but it's not that obvious because it's so counterintuitive. So we had spoken about Satan, which is the adversary or the force that is created to kind of resist us and cause us to have a challenge that will cause us to have a crisis in faith in a similar fashion to Job. The chapter in the Bible where the servant of the Lord, Job was God's favorite, got tested with the sanction, with the approval of God. Okay? Because when Satan went to heaven with an angel to speak with God, God was praising Job, and Satan said, "Has he been tested?" Or something to that effect. I'm paraphrasing. And then God said, "Well, do whatever you want to him. Don't kill him, but go ahead. You can test him." And Job lost everything. His 3 sons, his wife, his house. He was literally destitute in the street. And we should right now, all of us, because I think the whole planet, I've said this in other videos, in other classes, but I think the whole planet is going through a collective Job experience. We're all being tested one way or another by the adversary, but the way the test comes, it's customized to a weakness that is specific to you. And we need to understand this because the way my test shows up, it's not going to be the same for you or you or you. It's going to be customized. And the way, for example, if your weakness, if the part that's a weakness for you is connected to you and your connection, your interpersonal relationships, that's where your test is going to show up. If your weakness or your part is your health, it will show up through your health. In other words, the adversary is going to create such chaos and disturbance in an aspect of your life that will cause you to have a Job experience where your faith, where you will be tempted by the chaos that is being created to begin to doubt your connection to spirit and to the Lord, to begin to have a crisis in faith, to begin to, in some instances, even curse God and say, "Why are you not with me? You've abandoned me." Okay, and if you keep going on that trend, you're going to lose you're not going to pass the Job test. And I want you to understand this because again, as I said, the test is customized. For example, for someone who is very connected to people, let's say a giver, your test is going to come with your interrelationship with the people you are giving to. Okay? If your health is what scares you the most, the crisis is going to come through your health. If you're easily distracted by everything that's happening around you, and those distractions can easily cause you to become emotionally unraveled, little pieces of chaos will be created all around you as a way to deliberately cause you to be lost, to be like a squirrel, like a dog looking at squirrel, and you can focus on you being at rest and connected to God. Because the only thing we need to do right now, all of us, including me, is to remain at peace and at rest and be connected to God. If we can do this, all of us will transit with grace, in perfect grace. But the issue is that we are not at rest because the chaos, the Hasatan is penetrating, energy field and causing these explosions to occur, to test us, to test our faith, to test our connection to spirit. And I'm giving you these three examples, and those are the things that pops from on the top of my head as example to how the chaos can be, the agitation can begin to create distraction. If you're concerned and you're connected to a relative, you're connected to a friend or to a lover or to a family member or to people that you care very deeply with, all of a sudden their life unravel, causing chaos in your own life, then that's your test. It's a way for you, for the Hasatan to create enough chaos to affect you to the point that you may not have faith anymore and not believe in a higher power, because how could God let something like this happen? As I said, if it's your health will begin to unravel to the point where the same kind of conclusion can be arrived at. Or if you get easily distracted by climate change, global warming, and you get scared about everything, particularly for those of us who are in New York, like what happened 2 days ago with the storm and all the flooding, you would find yourself in a zone that was flooded. You therefore go into fear and chaos. You get distracted by that. And that causes, because the real test is about you passing, because the chaos we're going to face during the 3 days of darkness, the kind of dramatic change that we're going to go during the 3 days of darkness is so alien to anything that our consciousness has faced right now that we are being prepped by these little, believe it or not, no matter how big your thing is right now, it's little compared to the crisis of those 3 days of darkness. So we're being trained right now on how to acclimate and still remain focused, even in a moment where everything that we naturally know to be true are completely thrown out of the window or broken. That's the test. So we need to figure out a way to manage knowing this, how to manage how we navigate, how we move in that territory, so that we can begin to do better at handling the or customized event or test as they happen for us. And again, I'm not saying as they happen to us, I'm saying deliberately as they happen for us. And everything that's happening in my life right now is for my benefit. None of it is happening to me as I'm the victim. It's the exact opposite. It's for my benefit. And this is the way I have to retrain my consciousness. And if you can do this, if you can begin to have a different kind of conversation with yourself and say it's happening to me, it's happening for me, what happens is that in the course of your inner conversation like this, you will begin to see and perceive things in a completely different way. Like if it's for my benefit, everything that happened, even when the chaos comes in, although I am going to be triggered emotionally, but there is a part of me that becomes emotionally disconnected. I become detached from it. And my core is still at rest with God. It's still at rest with spirit. It's still at rest with my normal principle. I understand that I'm being tested. I understand there's a part of me that's emotionally, trying to navigate and figure out which way should I go. But my core is at peace. I am at rest. I didn't arrive at this. I am there now, but I didn't know. It took me a long time to get at this place, to get up to this place. It wasn't something that automatically arrived, because initially I was in panic. I was afraid. I was afraid of being homeless. I was afraid of many, many things, of being killed, of being irrational fear, completely irrational fears. And my internal relationship, again, because I'm a giver and I'm highly connected to my community, my circle of influence. That's important to me. So I was being tested through that. Okay? So what I'm saying is that we need to be very aware of these tests, of the way these things are navigating, and try to figure out a way to still create peace. I'm going to say some things that may seem highly controversial, but it needs to be said. Years ago, when I was studying the Kabbalah, I remember my Zohar teacher that read a passage from the Zohar, and she said something at the time that I couldn't comprehend. It didn't make sense, but now it's starting to make sense. And she read the passage, and then she said, she was talking about, the passage was talking, when she interpreted, the passage was talking about disease and sickness. And then she said, I want to say this, and I want you to hear me well. She said, cancer is the most intense form of chaos. Therefore, it is an illusion. It doesn't exist. And I remember I was stunned. I looked at everyone around me, and we all looked at each other. And she began to explain. And I'm going to break it down for you, particularly for those of you who are facing health crisis at this moment. What she was trying to say is that what cancer is, it's incorrect reproduction of the cells in your body. And the cause for which the inner cause could be individually for each one of you, leading to the same conclusion. But what I can say to you is this: your true energetic body does not allow cancer to grow. Cancer doesn't exist in that part of your body. The only thing you need to do is for you to manage to lift your awareness and your consciousness, to connect to that energetic body, to connect to it and be in pure connection to it. And the moment you're in that rest and that peace, all symptom of the disease will vanish from your body. I know what I'm saying sounds stupid. I know what I'm saying sounds simplistic, and it sounds dumb. But to the few clients that I've coached who have managed to do this, in a matter of 2 months, 3 months, they went in remission. It is a subtle thing. It is not direct, it's not obvious. And it is directly connected to the conversation I want to have with you today, which is to enter into that state of rest, where you banish the doubts and the fear that the diagnosis and the conversation with the doctors and all of the people having, and even the pain in your body is telling you that this is happening, this is wrong, and that all of that is all distraction that are trying to keep you from connecting to source and to allow the exact scalar invert, the exact opposite frequency, to overtake your body and create an autoimmune response that will automatically banish whatever the disease is. It doesn't have to be cancer, but whatever the disease is, it will banish it out. and I'm going to say this to you, and I know a lot of you that may be facing these things or trying, okay? I'm not shaming you for not doing well enough so far. What I'm trying to say to you at this moment, I'm trying to encourage you to step up to the next level, okay? I'm your cheerleader. I'm there with the pom-pom in my hand. I remember years ago, I used to say I'm the cheerleader. A couple of my students said, for Christmas, we're going to get you 2 pom-poms as a Christmas gift. But having pom-poms in hand to let you know that this is the path that you're supposed to follow. That if you can connect to that part of you, that creates the detachment from the problem, from the chaos that's being created. And again, it's an intense form of chaos. And if you can create the detachment and you go into that part of your body where there is no pain and there is no distress, the moment you can connect into this and you can remain in this for a good portion, let's say 40 to 50% of the time, you will automatically, the disease will end. It will change dramatically. What my teacher at the time said, the way you get over it, this is what she said at the time, and I didn't understand it at the time, but now I'm getting it. She said, my Zohar teacher, she said, all you have to do is to connect, to take a very deep breath and think of the place where the chaos may exist in your body, where the discomfort and the whatever it is that's going on for you, and take a very deep breath, acknowledge the issue, acknowledge the problem. It's not a denial. And then now take a deep breath and ask God to come and remove the burden for you. But it has to come from sort of a deep, sincere place where your connection to your divine is so sacrosanct. It's so holy that you know that your maker is capable of doing this. That's the key. You have to know that your maker is capable, no doubt, but the certainty that your maker is capable of doing this. And the moment you're in that state, every physical law that operate in this universe, including the law that's allowing the cellular structure to reproduce incorrectly, will be banished. And the repair and redemption and correction that you need will happen. It's in a lot of instances, it's so intuitive and so normal that it's like blinking your eyelid. Because when you get into that state, there is such ease. It's not arduous. It's not pushing a rock up a hill like Atlas. It's none of that. It's a connection to a higher power that you know is capable of rendering this like this. Now, I'm saying this and I'm using that example deliberately because any other problem that you have in your life, whether it is your fear of, climate change, whether it is your internal relationship with your family and your friend, God and that higher power is capable of doing it like this. If you can connect to that same certainty. The key to it is that, and I covered this last week, a little bit of it last week. You need to have certain kind of rituals Because when the chaos begins, whether it is pain in your body, whether it is the emotional distress, somebody's calling you in crisis and they keep calling you for crisis all the time, and this is somebody you cannot say no to because they're, there's kinship or there's connection, karma or whatever it is. And as these things are happening, you have to somehow still create a moment, because the way that the adversary created these crises, the crises pile up on you so much that you begin to forget the normal routine that used to take you to the certainty. You forget them. It's like an amnesia or a big eraser. You forget them. During that time, more than any other time, you have to connect back to your ritual. However they are, whether it's a meditation that you did in the morning, the breath control, light your candle in your altar, burn your incense, take your deep breath, whatever it is. Now more than ever, before you start trying to save everyone else or do anything else, you need to start your day with the ritual, even if it's 10 minutes. Because that will reconnect you on a daily basis to your higher power and to that connection to your divine, to say to you, there's nothing that my God cannot do. All my problems and all my crises can vanish instantaneously by his will and his power. Because all of it is an illusion. Because the laws of nature are created by his will. And if he so decree, my problems are gone like this. Now, if you're easily distracted, and the distraction comes in many ways. And so, again, as I said, if your connection is about people, your distraction will come to the people. Family members, friends, people in your care, they will come through them. Okay? And you begin to feel overwhelmed. My God, I have to do this. What do first? And as you, or if it's your health and your body, because you've isolated all the factors, and this is the only weakness that you have that's left, that's where it's going to enter. If you're distracted and fearing what's happening in the world because you watch too much mass media, you're constantly on Instagram or on Facebook or on listening with YouTube, watching video clips, and that's what you're doing, and you get over, and these kind of things, because the moment you watch one, the algorithm will bring you one type of video, more and more of them, you're going to get overwhelmed, and that will create fear in you and distract you. Bottom line, what are you feeding your soul? What's your spiritual diet? What are you feeding your soul? So it's important for us to examine, these are all rhetorical questions, it's for us to examine what's happening for us and begin to figure out corrections, realignment, to allow us to sit in the rest that I am supported, that I am loved unconditionally, and I am perpetually blessed. For I am anointed. And no darkness, no illness, no condition, no financial situation can touch one who is anointed by God. Any questions, any comments?
Thank you, Pia. That was very helpful. I wondered if one would have to be wary of painting a happy face over an empty gas tank, kind of thing, where you cannot tell yourself these things while underneath there is a festering disconnection of some sort that needs to be addressed as well.
Yes, Janice. So in the case of somebody that's sick and or whatever the condition may be, this is why you're doing your Dantian, this is why you're doing your query, because you need to know the weakness in your spiritual psychology that has caused the chaos to enter. You have to close the back door. So that's your part. But the part also that's equally important is to know, because once you figure out, I have this issue, that issue, the handkerchief syndrome. You pull one issue, the other one comes after, and so on and so forth. After a while, it just seems like an endless catalog of things that you have to address, and almost overwhelming. But what I'm saying is that the key to closing the back door, and this is why last week we talked about gate, paragate, parasasate, bodhisoha. The key to it is to achieve the surrender. And the surrender is what's going to take you, because when you say gate, paragate, you're saying all of the illusion, the whole series of handkerchiefs, all of the issue that I've identified as being responsible for the weakness in my spiritual psychology, all of them, I am saying to them, I'm going to the other shore, that they're all illusion. And therefore, gone over, fully gone over. Awake means at this time, I am entering into the light. I'm connected again. Awake. I'm in certainty again. It is done.
Yes, that's I think the part that you mentioned last week. It was also very very helpful, and that one mustn't overlook by just doing the affirmation of connecting, of saying what you described in the last 10-15 minutes. That part is a prerequisite, sort of, to making this statement of affirmation. God loves me and God supports me. I'm anointed, and then without that precursor, without that first step, that won't work.
Yes.
Got it.
In fact, if you read Job very carefully, you will realize that when Job lost his house, or when Job lost his children, he even said, it must be something that I had done that I don't see. God, he never blamed God. He went back to himself. He always went back internally to himself.
Mm-hmm.
So he was doing a Dantian per se, by re-examining his own life and saying, there is something that I have done that has caused this to happen. Because my God is loving, my God is kind. It can't come from my God.
Right.
And you, after identifying all of these things, then you can move to the next piece and say, okay, now that I'm there, how do I, because many of you are, because I've trained you so well to do this, many of you are doing your Dantian and your query all the time. So you have identified a whole bunch of things, and a lot of you are stuck. What do I do with all that stuff now? You all know it. You're like, I have truckloads of stuff. I don't know what to do with it.
Oh, we have PhDs in
You understand?
deeper kind of thing.
Exactly. Where is the recycling center? How do I get rid of all of that stuff? Right? This is what this class is about, is to find that place where the rest is. And it has to do, it's that old saying back in the Caribbean, you have to know there to go there, is true. It's connected to prayer and to a complete belief, a personal and individual relationship with your higher power. Which means what? If you're not a praying, if in your spiritual practice you're meditating all the time and you don't pray, you should start praying. Because the only way you can enter that place is for you to pray to your higher power. It's not just meditation. Now, a good spiritual practice has to be balanced. If meditation is listening to God, you have to learn how to pray, how to talk to God. So when you see this truckload of stuff that you have to unload and you have to send to a recycling center, you take all of it to God. And you have to have that intimate personal relationship with your creator to say, I don't know how to cure cancer. I don't know how to solve this emotional relationship. I don't have the power to, and it has to come from the heart. It has to be extremely vulnerable. I don't have the power to remove all the fears that mass media, the news, the TVs are bombarding on me. I don't have the power to do this. Help me. I beseech you, help me. And the more humble you are, and the more vulnerable you are, and you release with your entire heart and soul into God, and you discharge everything, the burden is removed. Now I have to say something about the burden is removed, because there are certain people who don't know how to pray correctly. I have to qualify this. During my coaching, I've met many clients who are doing this. You pray to God, you unburden, you do exactly what I said, and then you release everything, and God comes in and things are removed. But what happened? The next day, Satan shows up again, put more doubts in your head, and brings back the fear. Because Satan is very good at what he does. The fear will come back several times, even after you unburden yourself. And if you allow yourself to go back into doubt, and you're gonna go back energetically to the beginning again and restart the whole cycle. I remember years ago when I was part of the mystery school, there was a brother, a frater, who said something that was really interesting to me. I remember not being able to, it was how to pray. He compared praying to writing a letter to God. He said, when you're writing a letter, you take the paper, you take the ink, your pen, and you begin to write. And when you're done, you sign it with your name, you fold it, you put it in an envelope, you put it in a mailbox, postage, and you put it in the mailbox, and you send it. And after that, you let it go. You don't go back tomorrow and go back to the post box and try to fish the letter out again to continue to rewrite it again. If you keep doing this over and over again, there is no faith in you. And you will know. Now, it's true that there are multiple cycles, and sometimes the symptoms and the reasons, therefore, comes back again, because the agitator, the adversary, will create more chaos. And what then happens is that there are going to be zingers, emotional zingers, to trigger you, to make you go, wow, and trigger you again, and trigger you again. What's going to happen is that you're going to have, but there comes a point, and every time you unburden yourself to God, You be vulnerable. But there comes a point, and I've said this to you in the last class, last week. There comes a point where when you try to go back to unburden yourself, God says quietly, it's always, God doesn't speak in a loud voice. The voice or the emotional reaction that causes you to do this right now. The one that's loud is not of God. That's the adversary. When that voice comes in and it comes in and said, Pierre, you don't need to repeat this step. It is already done. I am with you. Sometimes when I begin to do my routine in the morning and I begin to do my prayer, all of a sudden it's like I could feel the rest all over me in every cell in my body. And at that moment, I know I don't need to do the whole routine because the letter already reached God. It's already there. And if you keep going back, and I had one client who was repeating these prayers over and over every day. And I'm like, and I kept saying to her, the entire universe has heard you. The whole cosmos has heard you already. You're repeating the same thing over and over again. The problem is that it's a lack of faith. When these crises come back again, and they will always come back, because this is the way, the repetition is like, it's like going up a spiral stair. You're going higher and higher, but the echoes are still there. The echoes are going to come back. But there comes a point where they no longer affect you. I read somewhere where, I forgot somewhere, on Facebook or somewhere, where it says the healing is not about the removal of the trauma, but it's to get to a point where the trauma no longer affects you. So it's not the removal of the problem or the issue that you're having, but it's the fact that the issue or the problem is no longer a deterrent in your further evolution and growth. It doesn't affect you anymore. So there will come a point, you may have to repeat the prayer a few times at the beginning, but there comes a point where if you really are connected to your God, and you're sincerely, and all of you are doing that, and you're connected, you will get to a point where you will know that God is with you at that moment, and you don't need to do anything anymore. I remember years ago, I was coaching somebody that had cancer, and she was going to go get some lymph node removed and all of these other stuff. And she walked in front of me, and I remember, because she was doing this and she had achieved that point, and it was the day before she went, and I remember she walked in front of me, and all I saw was light. And I called her back. I said, you know what? You don't have cancer anywhere in your body, because all I'm seeing is light. She said, I know. They removed 21 lymph nodes for her that day. There was no cancer. She had gone into remission because of the connection to spirit that she had. And they were all suspicious. That's why they removed them. It was nowhere. She said when she walked in to the surgeon, and she told the surgeon, there was no cancer anywhere in my body. And when the oncologist talked to her back with the result, and the oncologist was saying, there is no cancer. She said, I told you. But that was the proof positive that both the doctor and her that needed to know that God operated. God did what God was supposed to do. But it was, again, because she reached that threshold. She was a person, she grew up in the church, the Baptist church. She's a person of deep faith. And all I did is reminded her of a connection to God. I just simply reminded her. The rest she did. It's not my doing. She did this on her own. She identified all the problem, and then the thing about it is that it was her work situation was one of the reasons why she was having all these issues. What she did after that is that she retired. She walked out of the work situation because her condition was created because she had a hostile work environment that was creating all kinds of all kind of distress for her. She was under attack all the time, and she realized she has to let go because she wants to have the lesson was learned. Any other questions or comments? Any questions, any comments that you may have? Think about the spiritual diet that you're feeding your soul. Okay, whether it is because you're believing in what's in the media and everyone is saying this and that or the other because of this, and you're watching this, and if this is what you're doing, you will never, things will be upside down in your life. You will never be at rest. You will not find that place. Or if you find it, it will be incidental, short-lived, momentary. The point is that that place is not, it's not something that you do. Rather, it's something that you don't do. You have to stop the habitual behavior that takes you out of, because that place is a natural connection to God. It's a natural access. It's all of the other distraction that keeps you away from connected to it. It's simply, I'm trying to remind you that during that transit, and we are really only at the beginning of it, and as I said, the galactic equator crossing, probably 2030 or beyond, or even a little bit beyond that, because of what's coming and how dramatically different, and the fact that we have to keep our connect while this is happening, since we're going to guide the rest of the planet through it, our connection to God, that connection to that rest, must remain in what will be complete chaos, because we're going to be in complete darkness, and there will be all kind of negative vortex swirling around us. This is us with the tricycle and the training wheel, learning how to take the training wheel out so that we can remain and keep moving forward. Any questions, any comments? What I'm saying is that I'm encouraging you to have daily conversation with your creator. So your connection, aside from regular prayers, and I'm going to talk about prayer in a second, and I'm going to give you some example of Tibetan prayers for passage into for safe passage. But before we do that, I want you to understand that your vulnerable and sincere and humble prayer to God is the most powerful tool that you have in your arsenal to get to that place. The more sincere and the more honest that you are with your God, instead of suppressing and become stoic and suppressing your vulnerability and your fear and not acknowledging it, the way Ruthie, my Kabbalah teacher, said, you cannot deny it, because when the chaos is happening, it's happening. Acknowledge it. You're in the chaos. But know that the chaos is an illusion and there is a higher power, and elevate your consciousness and bring that as a burden to that higher power and ask for help. Because many of us have a habit of trying to control everything and not asking for help. That's the problem. We may pray to God, but we may not ask for help. We may repeat a prayer, we may do all of this, but we don't ask for help. We don't humble ourselves and say, God, help me. I know I'm guilty of this at times. Because I figured this is my problem. I have to figure it out on my own. And as long as you're doing this, God will not interfere, because you are a co-creator with the divine. What I'm saying to you is that the way the agitator and the adversary is creating the chaos, you're so emotionally overwhelmed, you can't figure it out on your own. Stop trying to do it on your own. Make it easy for you. Bring it to your higher power and ask for the help so that you can enter into the rest. And the moment you really unburden yourself, you will enter the rest, the true rest of the Holy Spirit, where your soul will suddenly find that all of the fear, all the noise, everything else will just drop. Everything is gone. And the characteristic of that for me, when I see it visually, it's this big white space. I've spoken about this before. And the characteristic is that it is a place of no thought. Once you surrender all of this, all I can think of is that I am grateful for being in this place. I've had experience with the place before, and I was so burdened by all of these things, agitation in my consciousness. I am so grateful now for being in a place where I don't have this anymore. And there are no other thoughts but deep and profound gratitude. And then you feel the rest, and you could sit in that space for hours. And hours can appear to be moments. Sometimes I sit in that space for 2.5 hours. I think it's only 10 minutes. No thoughts, rest, gratitude, and sometimes certainty, meaning knowing that whatever the problem was, it is solved. I don't know how it's going to be solved. It doesn't matter. I don't need to control it, but the burden is removed. It is solved. Now, what happened is that when I typically, if I'm in meditation, if I feel this kind of a, sometimes I wake up in the morning and I'm blessed by being in that state, and I'm giving all the work I've done from the previous day, and I walk around, and at that moment, because that state of rest, I can share it with the world. And when you're in that state, you're basically connected back to your own personal grace, your original grace with God, your original covenant with God. And when you're in that state, you can share it. If I know somebody is struggling through something, is moving through something difficult, I can begin to think of them. Sometimes, again, there is an afterglow that remains. Once you're connected to it, it remains for hours, sometimes for the whole day, sometimes for 2 days, but it remains for hours. And if during that time I think of somebody that's unburdened, or somebody asks me, many times, even Celidia, when she was asking me one time, and I've told you 1,000 times that story, when she had the problem with booking, getting on a flight from Atlanta to New York, I was in that state of grace when she called me. And she was in a problem, and then she was saying, is there anything that you can do? Because I'm number 48 on the standby list, and this is the 3rd day I've been trying to get to New York. I can't get to New York. Can you? And I'm like, let's do a talk. Did you do a torsion field? She said, no. I said, well, all right, stay quiet. And as I probably was at the 3rd or 4th torsion field, and all I asked from God, Spirit, at that moment, let Celidia come home now. All of a sudden, she said, well, they're making an announcement. I did not finish the torsion field. My rest, I saw it move. I told you the way I do this is that as I'm creating this, the peace that I'm feeling, the rest that I know, the connection to God that I have right now, I project it into the person that's asking me for help, energetically, wherever I feel them. And at that moment, she said, wait a minute, when I call you back in 10 minutes, she's making an announcement. And then she called me back. She said, well, Pierre, I don't know what you did. I'm on the plane. They didn't check our boarding passes. Not only am I in the plane, but everyone that was in standby is in the plane. That's a true miracle that God did. I didn't do it. I don't have that kind of power. God did it. And we are called to be this kind of anchors, to bring God's power, to make it accessible to the rest of the world. Imagine if all of us were in that state of consciousness, how much we could help humanity right now navigate through the chaos that the world is moving through. And the chaos is going to increase. The more of us are in that state of grace, when we were connected back to our own grace, the more we are capable of sharing that rest, that gratitude, and that certainty, that divine blessing, an instantaneous miracle like this. Because that energy system where the rest is, that's dharmata, it's the essence of being. It's a potential for endless manifestation and solution set. And the solution set like this can be manifest. Celidia, you wanted to say something?
Pierre, what I want to say is yes and amen to what you said. And I thought about the word illusion. And I remembered something that Einstein had said. And he said the greatest illusion in this world is the illusion of separation. And he said, what we need to do is to give up the illusion of separateness. And he said, in this moment of history, we are all in need of cultivating access to our wise selves and our ultimate wholeness and connectedness, and to give up what Einstein called the illusion of separation. Just saying yes and amen.
Beautiful, Celia. Beautiful. Yeah. Because that's the point of us seeing ourselves as a singularity of being. Whereas when you go into that place where you connect to God, you are no longer singular.
Yeah.
And you're at rest now in the plurality of God. And you let go of the reign and you let God do what God needs to do. And the key to it is that when you're unburdening yourself, when you go into that place, you have to really release everything. You can't hold anything back. That's why your vulnerability, first, your examination has to happen, and your vulnerability has to be completely bare. You have to be so authentic in that vulnerability. It's a powerful thing, and I'm encouraging all of you. I'm reminding myself as well that this is the state that I need to remain in, because there's so many distractions. So it's so easy, and particularly if you're a person that likes detail, that wants when somebody telling you a story, and what about this? What about that? Did you stop trying to control everything? And in fact, I generally tell my clients, even when I'm doing healing, give me the main highlights. I don't need to know all the detail of all the medical stuff that you did, the test and what the doctor says and the prognosis and all that. I don't need to know any of this. The more I know, the more my brain, Pierre, will get engaged in trying to solve the problem in my head. The less I know, the more abstract it is, the easier it is for me when I go into that blessed state to take your burden as an offering and give it to the Holy Spirit. And let God take care of it. Any other comments or questions? So what I'm going to do now, I want to read a prayer. This is a prayer from the Bardo Todor. I'll share my screen with you. And the prayer, it's the first prayer. It's prayer for mercy, inspiration prayer for deliverance from the dangerous pathway of the Bardo. Bardo is in Tibetan Buddhism, is a gap that exists between two states of consciousness. When you're transitioning, let's say, for being awake to dreaming, or dreaming to awaken, or from life into death, or from death into rebirth, any kind of transition, or for now, us moving from one dimension into another, that's called Bardo. It's a gap. Homage to the Guru Yadam Dakini. With their love, may they lead us on the path. Went through confusion. I wonder in samsara. By the way, samsara is the term In Tibetan Buddhism, that means the wheels of life and death. I'm going to start again. Homage to the Guru Yadan Dakini. With their love, may they lead us on the path. When through confusion, I wander in samsara on the undistracted life path of study, reflection, and meditation, may the Guru of the sacred lineage go before me, their consort, the host of the Dakini behind me, and help me cross the backdoors dangerous path and bring me to the perfect Buddha state. When through intense ignorance, I wander in samsara on the luminous path of the Dharmatuv wisdom, may blessed Vyarukana go before me, his consort, the Queen Varja, space behind me, help me cross the backdoors dangerous path and bring me to the perfect Buddha state. When through intense aggression, I wander in samsara on the luminous light path of the mirror-like wisdom, may blessed Vajrasattva go before me, his consort Buddha Lokana behind me, help me cross the backdoors dangerous path and bring me into the perfect Buddha state. When through intense pride, I wander in samsara on the luminous light path of wisdom of equality, may blessed Gratmasambhava go before me, his consort Mamaki behind me, and help me cross the backdoors dangerous path and bring me into the perfect Buddha state. When through intense desire, I wander in samsara on the luminous light path of discriminating wisdom, may blessed Amitabha go before me, his consort Padamravasini behind me, and help me cross the backdoors dangerous path and bring me into the perfect Buddha state. When through intense envy, I wander in samsara on the luminous light path of action accomplishing wisdom, may blessed Amoghasiddhi go before me, his consort Samayatara behind me, and help me cross the backdoors dangerous path and bring me into the perfect Buddha state. When through strong unconscious tendencies, I wander in samsara on the luminous light path of innate wisdom, may Vidayahara warriors go before me, their consort hosts of the Dakinis behind me, and help me cross the backdoors dangerous path and bring me into the perfect Buddha state. When through fierce confusion and projection, I wander in samsara in the light path of abandoning all fears, may the Blessed One, peaceful and rightful, go before me, hosts of the Dakinis, queens of space behind me, and help me cross the backdoors dangerous path and bring me into the perfect Buddha state. May the element of space not rise up as an enemy. May I see the realm of the blue Buddha. May the element of water not rise up as an enemy. May I see the realm of the white Buddha. May the element of earth not rise up as an enemy. May I see the realm of the yellow Buddha. May the element of fire not rise up as an enemy. May I see the realm of the red Buddha. May the element of air not rise up as an enemy. May I see the realm of the green Buddha. May the rainbow of element not rise up as an enemy. And may I see the realm of all Buddhas. May the sound, lights, and rays not rise up as an enemy. May I see the infinite realm of peaceful and rightful one. May I know all sound as my own sound. May I know all light as my own light. May I know all rays as my own ray. And may I spontaneously know the Baldo as myself. May I attain the realms of the three Kayas. Omitoba. So in this prayer that is repeated, said by a teacher that's alive to someone that's dying or whose soul already transitioned, is going through the Baldo between death and rebirth. He's trying to guide them to the various chaotic experience that the Baldo or Baldo have similar move you to similar pattern, because you have to let go of an old belief and paradigm and you have to embrace a new one. I'm not going to go over the items that are here for a moment. I want to talk about the elements. All of us right now, to a degree or another, given climate change, are seeing the elements as enemies. We just had this major flood that happened in New York. So the element of water was seen as an enemy, too deep subconsciously inside of us. May the element of water not rise up as an enemy. May I see the realm of the white Buddha. If you can create peace in your mind and your consciousness with that element, it will connect you to the gift of enlightenment through the white Buddha. May the element of earth not rise as an enemy. And may I see the realm of the yellow Buddha, and so on and so forth, the element of fire, the element of air, the element of the green Buddha. And then it says finally, because each one of them have a different Buddha, that a connection to because the moment you go into the place, the place of rest, you realize that whatever that experience was is a blessing in disguise. It was a way for you to test you. And it's taking you to a level of enlightenment or connection to your God that you were not in before. A certainty that you didn't have before. And it says in there, may the rainbow of element not rise up on an enemy. May I see the realm of all the Buddhas. And I'm going to explain this to you in a way that will make sense to you. If you recall when the hurricane, what was it called again, that was battering California recently. I forgot the name of the hurricane. Whatever it was battering California. And simultaneously, they had an earthquake, I think south of San Francisco. And it's interesting because we did a group healing together, a connection to that hurricane. When we did the connection, the hurricane said to me, we, all the elements, are talking to each other. This is what this is saying. May the rainbow of element not rise up as an enemy. May I see the realm of all Buddhas. In other words, we're going to experience more and more multiple of these things happening simultaneously. Let's say, for example, a hurricane happening as an earthquake is taking place, or wildfire taking place as an earthquake is taking place. And this is the rainbow of element, not rise up as an enemy, and seeing it as a way to connect you to a certainty with God that you never saw before. And it's saying here, may the sound, lights, and rays not rise up as an enemy. May I see the infinite realm of the peaceful and the rightful one. Now, the realm, the Baldo, specific Baldo that's described here between life, between death and rebirth, the first 7 days, you see what they call the peaceful deities. And after that, you experience what they call the rightful deities. You will hear sounds, you will hear lights, you will see thunder, you will see, particularly when you get in the rightful deities, you will see demons whose voice will sound like thunderclaps. You will see, but they're all illusions. You will see all kinds of things. You will hear all kinds of things. But in our Baldo process, we may not see an actual physical demon, but the demon can appear as a social political thing that's coming to the screen of our TV. Again, sounds and lights and rays that are going to toxify our consciousness. and cause us to become agitated. May I know all sounds as my own sound. May I know all light as my own light. May I know all rays as my own ray. And finally, may I spontaneously know the bardo as myself. And may I attain the realm of the three colors, which is the realm, enter into ascendance. Any questions or any comments about this prayer? All right. Any other general questions or comments that you may have? Let's take a 5-minute break and then we'll do our closing meditation on the back end of this. 5 minutes. Take a very deep and slow breath. And as you inhale and exhale deeply and slowly, allow the universal life force that permeates everything to enter into your lungs. Keep breathing deeply and slowly. And let your soul and your awareness drop in the middle of your chest. Please forgive me. I love you. And I let go. Please forgive me. I love you. And I let go. Let your head rest in the center of your chest. And let your entire consciousness emanate from that part of your body. Let your mind and your heart sync with each other. Keep breathing deeply and slowly. Realized that you can perceive 360 degrees. Keep breathing deeply and slowly. And notice what you noticed. Become aware of your struggles, your challenges, during this transit. Take a very deep breath. And lean into them, acknowledging that you're overwhelmed. And that this is out of your pay grade. Realize that you're overwhelmed and you don't have by your own the power, the strength to do or change anything. Beloved God, I am struggling. I am overwhelmed. I am in crisis. I have all of these chaotic experiences that are agitating my consciousness, my body, my mind, my finances, and my soul. I release all of them unto you. Take this cup away from me. I surrender all of my burdens, all of my pains, all of my fears, all of my struggles into you. I empty my soul, my mind, my emotions, my physical body into your care. Let me enter the peace the stillness, and the rest. Give me your peace, your certainty, your healing, your repair. Like Archangel Camuel, he who seeks God, strengthen my faith and my connection to my God. In every aspect of my life, in every part of my being, the chaos, the illusion is banished. Thank you for the blessings. I accept the gifts and I receive with gratitude. Thank you for the blessings. I accept the gifts and I receive with gratitude. Thank you for the blessings. I accept the gifts and I receive with gratitude. Take a very deep and slow breath. And whenever you feel ready, you can open your eyes.
Oh, thank you, Pierre. I hate to leave that wonderful place, but I know we have to close the class. So I don't have words except thank you.
Oh, you're welcome, Janice. You're welcome. Blessings to all of you. Blessings to you. Any other comments before we close? I want to thank you all for listening tonight. If you're listening to us on Patreon, thank you for your support. On YouTube, like this video, subscribe to the channel, give us a thumbs up, and share it with your friends so that more of us can be standing in this blessed space. Love you so much. I'll talk to you next week. Good night, everyone.
Good night, everyone. Love you all.
Good night. Love you all. Good night,
Good
Janice.
night, everyone. Good night.
Good night, Lydia.